Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm a little late, but that's how it goes sometimes on the Morning Night Live. I'm here now, though, and this is my face. I remembered to put it on the screen before I started talking. Well, not before I started talking, the process of talking. Welcome to a Tuesday show. I kind of embracing this Twitter Tuesday thing. So I'm going to try to stop doing so much stuff on Twitter. So maybe I'll try to limit it to once a week. Although breaking news often happens, or at least is found on Twitter because Twitter almost always beats the networks and all the other people. In fact, a lot of things I talk about in this show, I'm getting them right near or when they happen or right after the tweet was made, and then I find people talking about it 1, 2, sometimes 3 days later, and so I don't necessarily I don't want to stop using Twitter, but I realize not everybody uses it, so I use it so you don't have to. And so that's that. Anyway, let's just get this rolling because I need to go. Here's the intro and we'll be back and say hi to everybody and get this stuff rolling because I'm late. I know it. I know I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawgKnight. Alrighty then, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It's Tuesday, the 8th of March, 2022. 7 days till B Day. That means baby day. I should say G Day, grandchild day. Although, again, due dates are a projection, not a set in stone fact, so we'll see how long it is before my daughter gives birth. But she is very excited to remove Sprout from the apartment that Sprout is renting, and I think she's already given Sprout the eviction notice, and we'll just see how long it takes for Sprout to move out, because she loves being pregnant, but she'd be happy to not have a person in a room who brought a trampoline known as her bladder and spleen. So anyway, welcome to the show. Let's say good morning, everybody, and then we'll move forward because I want to get some of the stuff that I bookmarked here and get to talking about it. So anyway, first in the chat today was Advocatus Diabli, who gets the bell. Thank you for being here, sir. Also, good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
And Kashul and Tall Person, nice to see you. Also, good morning, Willett Forge, Mike Savage. Maddie's in the house. Maddie, yes, you're right. I was running late. I saw your tweet. Good morning, Tyler F. And also Attack Alpaca. Good morning, Tyler Alexander's in the house. Nice to see you, sir. Good morning to also Lord Stanhope. And is that it? Is that really all there's here? No, did I get okay. No, for some reason, this one's not doing the same as that one. Yes, it is. All right. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So, I called this stream Delusional because of an exchange that the White House press, whatever. What happened there? Why did all of a sudden everything went to zero and back? Did something happen here? No, you're all back. Okay, good. Because of something that Jen Psaki was talking about with Peter Doocy. Peter Doocy of Fox News, who seems to be in the thorn of the side of Jen Psaki. And, there's people who like it that Peter Doocy asks tough questions because most people are giving tongue baths to the White House and the press secretary. But Peter Doocy will ask questions that are slightly adversarial. Some people say that he's just trying to get you gotcha questions, but, he's the only one there asking questions that may not jibe with the administration and their narrative. Although some of the reporters are, I think some of the reporters are getting a little tired of some of the stuff. They don't necessarily jibe with with everything they're doing. So some of the reporters are starting to ask a little bit tougher questions, but rarely do they follow up. Rarely do they try to get real answers from the White House. They usually just, if they ask a tough question, they just write down whatever Jen says the first time and doesn't really follow up. It's kind of unfortunate. And also some of the media that, like the media in the back, there's been a little bit of a spat the last couple of days because for some reason, the Associated Press has a lot of control over what happens to all the press, the daily press briefings and things like that. And a lot of times they try to cut off the questions and the time, even sometimes before the White House does, be it Jen Psaki, be it Joe Biden, be it I can't remember the deputy press secretary names, but anyway. And so a lot of the people in the back from lesser, I wouldn't say, they're lesser outlets, lesser known outlets, I guess, don't always get a chance to ask questions. And there's a big spat about that right now because, the White House should be able to answer the people and not just get a narrative, not just get stenographers, you know what I mean? And a lot of press has just become stenographers. So, when Peter Doocy asks questions that the left doesn't like, they get a little bent out of shape, and it's like, well, that's their job. You're not supposed to just microphone whatever they say. You're supposed to, if your responsibility of the press is to ask tough questions. So I don't know. Anyway, real quick, let me thank you, Tall Person. And Tall Person, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day being first. So thank you for that. Oh, the audience agrees. Tall Person drops a deuce in the tip jar saying, annual reminder that today is both International Women's Day and National Be Nasty Day. Nasty boys don't mean a thing. Don't you nasty boys. My first name is Janet, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Well, that's appropriate. It's International Women's Day and National Be Nasty Day. I think maybe I just better not continue with the joke I'm about to say. Anyway, thank you, Tall Person, for being the first sponsor today. Also, good morning to Hig, 1966, and perhaps Cindy in the background. So nice to have you guys here. So, oh, wow, what happened? It went from 0 to 8? What the hell's going on here? This is weird. My concurrent viewer thing, I should just take that off. Anyway, so well, let's do the news, a little bit of just the most breaking stuff first. And oh boy. I just saw this. Since it is Twitter Tuesday, we will do Twitter stuff, but I just happened to see this from Judicial Watch. Retweet if you don't trust Joe Biden to handle the Ukraine crisis. Now, this is a silly way to do a poll, retweet, whatnot, but I'm not gonna participate in it, but I just thought it's funny because it's probably going to get a lot of retweets today. And the problem is that, do I trust Joe Biden to handle the Ukraine crisis? Because look, crisis is an interesting word. It doesn't affect. It doesn't. Not affect. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't. In a way, it doesn't concern us. In a way, I don't know. By the way, in the tabs today, I'm going to tell you, every day I'm going to just probably feature a video regarding Ukraine, and today it's from Vox. Now, I'm not a fan of Vox, but when you watch this video, it's about 8 minutes long, and it's the Putin's war on Ukraine explained. Now, it's explained Vox style, but there's some fascinating points in there where you see how I am going to be accused of supporting the former KGB agent. And I'm not at all supporting the former KGB agent. However, in this video, it shows you how NATO has kind of encroached on Russia. Now, there's always been this, ever since the USSR, back in the USSR, there's been this alliance. Should I explain it Kamala Harris style? There was an alliance known as NATO, and there was the USSR, and they were not friends. And so they never mind. I can't even be that stupid. Somebody the other day and Twitter was telling me, I said something about Kamala Harris being mediocre. Or I was agreeing with her being mediocre, and something like, okay, explain how Kamala Harris is mediocre. And so I replied with that thing about her how she explained the Ukraine-Russia crisis. In fact, I'm pretty sure you've heard it. Maybe I'll play it at the end. But anyway, what was I talking about? But you'll see the part that they kind of gloss over is how NATO has consistently moved closer and closer to Russia. And I suppose you would think if it's a military alliance and they're starting to get in countries that are closer and closer to Russia, including two countries that border Russia, I could see how they might be concerned. Now, I think there's a whole lot of factors why this is happening. Obviously, like we talked about yesterday, there's a lot of oil in Ukraine that it seems like the Russians seem to be encircling with the way they invaded, right? So obviously Crimea, after those oil contracts were signed, all of a sudden Russia took on Crimea, and then they signed some oil contracts in those regions where the Russian separatists are, and the Russians are kind of encroaching in there. And there's a spot in the east that they got some oil over there, and somehow the Russians are kind of over there. But anyway, there's a long history between these two countries that really, I don't know how to think about it. I'm trying to say, no International Women's Day show. Well, it was mentioned in the beginning by Tall Person in the first donation of the day. But no, I'm not doing International Women's Day. What the hell? Every day is Women's Day if you're married. Come on. Anyway, that is a crock of shit. There are already NATO nations on the border of Russia. I know that, Tyre. And Ukraine in 2014 became a NATO partner, not a NATO nation. And then they're talking about becoming a part of NATO, which would increase the border of NATO countries along the Russian border. But I'm not saying that is an excuse for Putin to, I'm not saying that's an excuse for Putin to invade Ukraine, but that was one of those things we said. We said we'd never increase the number of NATO countries along the Russian border. We already have 2. Ukraine would be 3 if that were the case. But anyway, all right, now let's just get caught up on some of the. Oh, real quick, a couple thank yous, by the way. Willett Forge, Tyler F., Maddie, thank you for tweeting out the show. I greatly appreciate it. And if you would be so kind, people share and like and all that stuff that we do, that we YouTubers say. All right, let's find the Twitter news on Ukraine for today, the update. Evacuations beginning in Ukrainian cities, but Russia is attacking humanitarian corridor in Mariupol, officials say. Now aren't they the ones who set up the humanitarian corridor and now they're attacking it? That's not right. Russian forces shelled the humanitarian corridor that was enabling civilians to leave the southern city of Mariupol on Tuesday, according to the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The town of Irpin, to the west of Kyiv, is also being evacuated. In the northeastern city of Sumy, this humanitarian corridor is expected to last until 9 p.m. local time and will take civilians to the city of Poltava, 175 kilometers to the south. I'm assuming, let's see, 175 kilometers, is that about 100 miles or 90 miles, something like that, roughly? What you need to know, according to Twitter, Goodbye, bots. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop that. Oh, good. It didn't work anyway. I think this has already been disabled. I meant this. There we go. Unwanted. Bye. Everything, yes, everything is allegedly. The regional prosecutor's office says at least 21 people were killed in Sumy on Monday after it was partially encircled and heavily shelled by Russian forces. According to the High Commissioner of the United Nations Refugee Agency, 2 million people have fled Ukraine in the days since the Russian invasion began. Shell CEO Ben van Beerden has announced the company will stop buying crude oil from Russia and will close its service stations across the country. This is a fascinating. Hello, Richo. Good morning, by the way. Haha, had to run a few Chinese missiles today. LOL, good to hear you. And you, mate. Or Stanhope. Okay, I'm not sure who you're talking to there, but good morning to you, sir. And Johnny Hellcat and Asan, welcome to the show. And Lord Stanhope. All right. So this whole Shell thing, too. Shell got beat up a little bit in Great Britain because there was a ship out there. It wasn't a Russian ship, but it was a Russian ship, or it was a ship carrying Russian oil, and they got in trouble because they decided they needed oil, and they're like, okay, we're going to buy this oil off the Russian ship, and everyone's bitching about the people buying oil from the Russian ship. Well, here's the thing. We haven't done any, not officially. Well, I'm sorry. I'm premature. There is some news today, but there was no embargo on Russian oil. There's no ban on Russian oil. There's none of this, none of that. At least there wasn't at the time. A lot of people they're relying on companies to do it, which is weird, instead of just saying, hey, we should ban this and that and that. And as we talked yesterday, the problem is that at least the United States is trying to make up for that issue by getting more oil from Saudi Arabia, who has refused to pump oil, from Iran, who I thought Iran was our mortal enemy, and they're just using it to build nuclear weapons, and Venezuela. So instead of getting from the dictatorship in Russia, we're going to ask other dictatorships to give us more oil instead of just pumping out more ourselves. And and Jen Psaki told Peter Doocy something, which I'll get to in a minute. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, I have a whole other thread here, though, of updates. That's not it. Let's move this over. Breaking, at least 9 dead in bombing of Ukraine city of Sumy, according to rescuers. Now, we've had some, I wouldn't say, I never know what to believe in any of this, because, we did have that. I don't know if you've seen the picture. I don't have it bookmarked here anyway, but there have been some questionable photos of certain types of things that you go, did that really happen or not? And this is as much a war physically as it is propagandistically. I know that's not a word, but I just made it up. There's a lot of propaganda going on, so I don't never know what to be the truth, even from the news agencies. They're sometimes just report what the report from the Russians or the report from the Ukrainians say, and I just know. So take everything with a grain of salt. But anyway, the update, at least 9 people, including 2 children, have died in an airstrike at the Ukrainian city of Sumy, some 350 kilometers east of Kyiv, rescue services say. At Sumy, near the Russian border, has been the scene of heavy fighting for days. Hello, Renee Mayette. The head of the UN's refugee agency said he expects the number of refugees fleeing the war in Ukraine to top 2 million in the next 2 days. And then also breaking, Ukraine Zelensky denounces unkept promises by the West. He's a little upset, apparently, that, by the way, there's about 16,000, at last I heard, foreign fighters going into Ukraine to help too. That's interesting. But the UNHCR recently put the number of refugees fleeing Ukraine at more than 1.7 million, and the UN agency also praised exemplary welcome provided by Moldova, Poland, and Romania. The death toll from the airstrike raises to 21 local officials. This is just a series of tweets. Update: President Volodymyr Zelensky has denounced what he called unkept promises from the West to protect Ukraine from Russian attacks. And here's the kicker line. Let me put it full screen here so you can see it. It's been 13 days. We've been hearing promises. 13 days. We've been told we'll be helped in the air, that there will be planes, that they will be delivered to us. He's denouncing unkept promises by the West. Now, if that's the case, are we going to deliver them to Russia? What are we doing? Is this something we need to keep going instead of stopping? Is this helping somebody in country that near you? Because even though, remember, yesterday said Joe Biden is leading the world on this. Really? He's leading the world on this, and the Russians are still there. Yeah, that's some hell of a leadership. But I do look. If this were our war, I'd be supporting that president, even if I thought it was stupid. But I'm always going to support our country. But is this supporting our country? How? Other than, well, it's certainly supporting countries that sell a lot of oil to us, including possibly some soon-to-be enemies that are selling oil to us. Anyway, now there's a map of Ukraine locating areas where major explosion strikes and fighting have been reported and under Russian control as of March 8th. So obviously they've had Crimea already, but now they've got control of this area. They're controlling the west and they're controlling the north. Now the only other area. Now if you can see this map, let's make this map a little bigger here. So Sumy, that's where the reports of them harming refugees. So the red dots are where there's fighting going on. The circles, like these little stars with, I don't know what you call it, just red circle stars, is where explosion of spikes are happening. And then zones under Russian control are the pink, and zones claimed by Russia are like a darker pink, and then a lighter pink. And then the ones with the lines are the areas that they've kind of already controlled, or they're controlled by either separatists or Crimea, which was annexed by Russia in 2014. Wait, 2014? 2014? God, Trump is such a Putin puppet. He just gave them Crimea. Oh, wait, that was the Obama-Biden administration. Never mind. Anyway, now let's talk about, if you watch, now, by the way, if you watched the video I suggested by Nate the Lawyer that I had in the tabs yesterday, can you put a 1 in the chat? If you haven't watched it, I suggest you go back and watch it. Because he did make a good point that the areas where Ukrainians have found oil include Crimea, also this area to the west where these pink dots and explosions are happening, and also in this Russian separatist zone. It's amazing. Oh, and there was also some up here to the north, not Kyiv itself, but somewhere up here. There's where the new oil drilling contracts with big oil companies were happening, and interesting that that's where the Russians are going in. Now, it's not the only issue here. But again, wars for oil seemed very popular in the 20th and 21st century. Are we in the 21st century? What century are we in? Is this where we did the 20th century? Yeah, we're in the 21st century. We're in the process of the 21st century. So there we go. Let's continue here. So, and anything else breaking? Germany. Oh, and Germany is investigating possible war crimes in Ukraine, according to federal prosecutors. Isn't every war a war crime? I mean, it's just, I don't know. The German federal prosecutors opened up an investigation into possible war crimes by Russia troops since the invasion of Ukraine. A source in his office told AFP, confirming earlier media reports. And they're still talking about it. So anyway, there's lots of refugees, and this is not good. Now, also breaking, Ukraine defense minister says Russia is violating the Mariupol. Okay, this is all 5 hours ago, so this is the same thing. View of the Ukrainian port of Mariupol. Where is Mariupol? Let's find Mariupol on the map up here that they just showed us. Mariupol's down here in the Sea of Azov, which is leads to the Black Sea. Again, here's what's happening. Look, they're also taking control of all this coastline that Ukraine had in the Black Sea. So if they take all this area, then they have control of all the ports in the Black Sea. That's interesting. But again, now Zelensky says that the West is forsaking him. I don't. Let's see anything newer that. Chinese president. Oh, update. China urges maximum restraint over Ukraine crisis in call to Macron and Schultz, according to state media. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday urged maximum restraint over Ukraine, calling the crisis deeply worrying in a video summit with his French and German counterparts, Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz. French President Emmanuel Macron speaks in a video conference call with German Chancellor. I don't know if this is going to be in English or not. It's probably not. It's going to be in multiple languages, and they have translators probably. No, they don't have any. They do not have a translation on here. So anyway, real quick, let me get to these real quick. Thank you, City Rochelle. Nice to see you. Public with a small bullet. First, with a small bullet. Public announcement: the free world has fallen. Pray for us sinners. Hashtag I stand with Oceana. And by the way, Sydney, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you very much. And another with a big bullet this time, and that gets a cheer. It says, I am in the stage of grief that is acceptance. Soon I be on a street corner with a bell and a end is near sandwich board. Sydney, my dear, by the way, thank you. Thank you for sponsoring the show as gracious as you are. And you are the Streamline Superstar sponsor of the day. And welcome back, Sydney. Nice to see you. And Jeffrey Russell Jr. and Renee Mayette. And I think I got everybody. I don't know that the end is near. I just think when this is over, Russia's going to take control of whatever they want to in Ukraine, and ain't nobody gonna do shit about it because the leader of the free world ain't gonna do shit about it. And they're having peace talks, and Russia has 3 demands. I believe one of them is that Ukraine, the Ukraine government will not become a part of NATO. That will vow to not become a part of NATO. That they will allow the separatist areas in the east to be separate. And I think the third one is they want them to change the prime minister to a Russian-friendly prime minister. Not the president. Zelensky would remain president. They want to make the prime minister a Russian-friendly prime minister. And I don't know, I have no idea what that means as far as Ukrainian politics goes. I know right now we have a Western leaning government in Ukraine, which we helped to foster, and not that in geopolitics, I don't know if that's bad or good. Do we want that? Would a neutral Ukraine be good for both parties? I don't know. It's possible, but anyway, let's keep going. So now we do have again. We have I know that there are tragic things that happen in things like this, but when we get a headline like this, I go, what are they doing here? Tragic BBC report follows Ukrainian children with cancer forced to flee hospitals. Now, when you see a headline like this, let me see if there's does it make you just go, Does it make you go, is this propaganda? Let's look at that again. It's a tweet, but it's the headline also. Let's look at it again. Tragic BBC report follows Ukrainian children with cancer forced to flee hospitals. I can hear the violins playing right now. And it's awful. It's an awful thing that these refugees are having to leave at all. Fuck Putin, right? do I need to even say it? Everyone's on board. That's just an everyone. That's get everyone on board. Never met a fat cat. Oh, I don't. Stop. Good morning, Teresa the Kid. Yeah, I don't know. I just that's a heartstring puller right there, right? By the way, thank you. Oh, these are just people who liked it. That's cool. Anyway, by the way, if you're new here, if you're just hanging out in the background wondering, what's this all about? Just subscribe to the channel. You'll figure out after a few times. And if you decide you don't like what I'm doing, you can unsubscribe. But right now, subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff that you do to make sure that you get to see more of this, because everyone wants to see more of this. This is here's the article from now this is the Independent. I don't even know what the Independent is. Independent, I believe, is owned by the New York Times, but it's Europe based, and so it's a lot of times it's European news, I think. But anyway, a heartbreaking BBC report shows the tragic toll the Russian invasion into Ukraine has had on child cancer patients forced to flee their hospitals and be evacuated to Poland. It's truly awful that happens, right? BBC's Mark Lowen. I don't know what writes. They've left a word out here. How patients are being taken to a hotel to be examined, with the most urgent cases being sent to hospitals in Poland and across Europe. They too are the fighters of a debilitating disease made deadlier by the war they fled, Lowen said. Ukraine's young cancer patients evacuated to Poland, victims of a battle on two fronts. I'll leave the article up, but I just feel like this is propaganda. PDawgKnight, one of the world's best sportsmen, died a few days ago. He had a booster 2 days before he went to Thailand. I smell something. I don't know. Congress worked all weekend on Russia's oil ban. Biden White House intervened so he could make the announcement that he was going to ban it. It's all political haggery. Oh yeah, I was getting to that. Believe me, I'm getting to that. Anyway, it's like I said, it is a propaganda war, and that's the kind of story that makes you hate Russia, I guess. And again, I do not support this invasion at all. I don't support. I'm the anti-war right, sort of. You know what I mean? And I just think this is crazy. But I also don't believe that we got boots getting closer and closer over there. And I'm just thinking, is this really what we want? But well, anyway. So let's get into this thing with Jen Psaki here, because some people seem to think that the rise in oil prices, or they're saying the rise in oil prices are due to the attack on Ukraine, right? The Russian attack. Now, does anyone remember how long ago this started? Now, granted, certainly the immediate raise in prices in oil certainly has been exacerbated by what's going on in between Russia and Ukraine. But I could have sworn that oil prices and gas prices were way up long before this came to be, right? And it wasn't up that, we stopped the economy in 2020, but at the end of 2020, we were around close to $2 a gallon. And there's places where it's around $7 a gallon, or over $7 a gallon in the United States right now. Now, that's not the average price across the country, but me as a person who drives a very large truck that gets pretty low gas mileage, and for reasons, and especially after this weekend driving to Omaha and back, when I filled up Thursday night and it was $3.49 a gallon. And then but I had some driving to do, so I just topped it off early in my trip to Omaha, and it was $365 a gallon like the next day. And then even driving to Iowa, where gas is usually lower than it is here in Minnesota, and it was $3.79, and on the way back it was depending on where you stop, it was $3.74, and then yesterday, because we finished the trip back and I didn't fill my tank till yesterday, and then it was $3.96. So over the course of 5 days in the great state of Minnesota, gas prices went up 94 cents in my local gas station. 94? No, 54. 50. I'm sorry, not 94. That was a bad math right there. Went up 57 cents. 57 cents in 4 days, in incremental rises in 4 days. Now that rise in prices obviously has a lot to do with what's happening. But let's go back to the $3.49 a gallon before the Russian invasion. That particular price, $3.49 a gallon, was a whole lot more than it was prior to this administration. A whole lot more than $1, almost $1. I think because it was like, I'm thinking at the end of last year it was like $2.39 or $2.29, something like that, somewhere in that. So it's more than $1 more in just a single year under Joseph Rahim Biden before the Russian crisis. So the idea that they're blaming this on the Russian crisis is quite funny. But let me get this. Thank you, City Rochelle, with another Lincoln, right? Lincoln's 5. Who says, pray for the people of Ukraine, Russia, Europe, Asia, Australia, South America, Middle East, North America, because our collective governments have lost their damn minds. Hashtag, I stand with the Oceana. Thank you, Cindy. That's awesome. So anyway, so here's the article, or the tweet, because it is Twitter Tuesday. Here's the article. A reporter tries to blame rising gas prices on the Biden administration rather than Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And the person who immediately answered this says, are we just going to pretend it wasn't rising before Russia invaded Ukraine? Now, I think I have a graphic for this. Well, here, let's look. Now, this is how HuffPost puts it. Jen Psaki schools Fox News Peter Doocy with facts. I know that can be inconvenient. Now, listen, you're going to listen to this because this is kind of funny to me because I have questions.
Thank you, Jen. It sounds like you guys are blaming Putin for the increase in gas prices recently, but weren't gas prices going up anyway because of post-pandemic supply chain issues?
Yes. Not even just that. Also, the fact that we put some restrictions. The first day in our first week in office, Joe Biden made some executive orders that discouraged certain types of movement of, I hate to call them fossil fuels. I would say carbon fuels, fossil fuels, whatever, because they want to have a green agenda, right? So some of the things that Biden changed by executive order that the former president didn't also caused that. So anyway, let's hear Jen's answer.
Well, I think there's no question that, as we have seen, and outside analysts have conveyed this as well.
And outside analysts have conveyed this as well. That's her saying experts, unnamed experts. Anyway.
Increase in the anticipated continued increase, which is, I think, what some of your colleagues were asking about, that is a direct result of the invasion of Ukraine.
Sure. The current, like this big old jump that we had over the weekend, right? That certainly has been exacerbated by the invasion of Ukraine, right? But that wasn't his question. it was rising before that. Significantly.
And also, there was an anticipation of that.
Oh, there
that
was. Is that what it was? Because the anticipation, you told us, Jen, and Joseph Rahim Biden, you told us that Russia wasn't going to invade. They changed their minds. Oh no, wait, you said they were going to invade, but then they said that then they didn't invade because the paper said, oh, they drew back, and then that they invaded. Why would that change the price? It didn't change the world supply. Supply is a lot more important than other reasons. And now that we're cutting off Russian oil in certain places in the world, or Russian energy, that certainly, when you lower the supply, certainly that's going to cause the prices to rise. That's probably why they've been reluctant to cut off or embargo whatever Russian oil. But that's still not the question, because the real question is, was that rising before this?
Was factored in as gas prices have gone up.
Oh, okay.
So you say that you're going to do everything that you can to reduce the impact that high gas prices have on Americans. We're asking other countries to think about maybe pumping more oil.
Yes, we are. Iran, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia.
Why not just do it here?
Well, to be very clear, federal policies are not limiting the supplies of oil and gas.
Oh, they're not. How about the movement of oil and gas? Didn't you shut down the Keystone project? Shut down another pipeline? That wasn't the only pipeline that got shut down.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
An executive order his
Peter,
first week that halted new oil and gas.
Let me give you the facts here, and I know that can be inconvenient, but I think they're important in this moment.
See, my facts are going to be different, even though we saw it with our own eyes. He said that executive order shutting down a bunch of the gas leases. They shut down the pipelines. They shut down all kinds of shit. But she's gonna tell us, oh no. Well, listen to this.
To the contrary, we have been clear that in the short term, supply must keep up with the demand. We are, and here and around the world, will we make the shift to a secure, clean energy future. We are one of the largest producers with a strong domestic oil and gas industry. We have actually produced more oil. It is at record numbers, and we will continue to produce more oil.
How? We would have this problem if we. Are you saying wouldn't have this problem if we were developing alternative energy and fuel sources? Well, we are. But right now, while we are developing them, we still need the sources that we have. And we can't force, well, I think you're, I don't know if you're being facetious or not, but yeah, we can't make everyone go out and buy electric cars. Oh, by the way, if we make everyone go out and buy electric cars, where are they going to get that fuel to create the electricity from? Now, I went through Iowa driving this week, and there was a whole bunch of windmills out there, and they were all pumping or whatever. But I know that, for example, in California, where they're going to force people, they're no longer going to allow the sale of vehicles that don't have a renewable source, right? Which a renewable source, you're in a state with rolling blackouts. They're going to force you to drive an electric car. That doesn't make sense. And we still don't have necessarily the infrastructure to have all electric cars. And by the way, the destruction of the planet to mine the minerals needed to make enough batteries to have all electric cars. And yeah, and by the way, those are coal-powered cars, like, because we have coal-powered plants right now. They haven't converted to hydrogen. They haven't converted to, well, they can. They're still working on the hydrogen thing. But even natural gas or oil or coal-powered plants, because they won't, for whatever reason, they're not going to go to nuclear. That's the one thing I said. If you could, because the nuclear technology, like well, it would help if we weren't having wars all the time, but if we had the nuclear technology to probably could power a number of, plants that would create enough energy for that type of thing. Or even as Elon Musk said, the other one we're relying on is solar power too. Who makes 80% of the solar panels in the world? or 90% of the solar panels in the world. Those are made in China. So then we'd be dependent on China for building infrastructure. It's crazy. Anyway.
There are 9,000 approved drilling permits that are not being used.
You know, here's the funny thing about the 9,000. This is another one that they use that's bullshit. And this is I didn't want to use the word gaslighting because I put it in the description, but this is also some form of gaslighting. We know that there's 9,000 drilling permits that aren't being used. Well, that might be because they're permits where they don't have sources of oil, maybe, or there's all kinds of reasons why there wouldn't be permits being used. That's just great. You're throwing out a number. There's 9,000 permits that are not being used. That means nothing, Jen. That means nothing.
Going up anyway because of post-pandemic supply chain issues.
Sorry, actually.
Well, I think there's no question that as we have seen in oil, it is at record number to produce more oil. There are 9,000 approved drilling permits that are not being used. So the suggestion that we are not allowing companies to drill is inaccurate. The suggestion that that is what is hindering or preventing gas prices to come down is inaccurate.
Would President Biden rescind his executive order that halts new oil and natural gas leases on public lands?
Well, 90% of them happen on private lands, as I'm sure you know.
Notice
and
he's
there
not
are
answering the question.
9,000 unused approved drilling permits. So I would suggest you ask the oil companies why they're not using those if there's a desire to drill more.
Would President Biden ever undo his executive order that stopped the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline?
Are you suggesting that would solve the gas prices issue?
Well, do you think that that would maybe affect prices faster than getting the whole country off of fossil fuels?
I actually don't think it would. The Keystone was not an oil field. It's a pipeline. Yeah. Also,
anyway, this goes back and forth for a long time. I'll leave it in the, I think I have it in the tabs, both in the article and in the tabs. But the funny thing here is what they've done now is I thought I put it on here, but this is the wrong one. U.S. bans Russian oil imports. That's breaking news as of today, right? And so this person says if this move isn't followed by Biden revoking executive orders discouraging domestic production of oil and gas here at home, it'll have no teeth, a worthless gesture if it's followed by shifting reliance to Saudi, Iranian, or Venezuelan oil, just as bad as Russian oil. Now, she's sitting there talking about how we have these 9,000 oil leases that aren't being used and blah, 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 blah. Well, if that were solving the problem, then why wouldn't we just ask our own companies to do that then? Who have they gone to? Have they gone to American companies who drill for oil in America and the shale in North Dakota and all these other places where they've got this, now that they have a way to extract it, that they can produce more oil? Are they allowing, because remember, that's the other part, in that executive order, they're limiting methods. So even if they have 9,000 unused drilling permits, if they're limiting the methods to do it, then you can't use that. Would they rescind that or executive order? And why are we going to beg the Saudis to do more production? Why are we begging Iran to do a deal to import more oil? Why would we go to Venezuela to have them do a deal to bring us oil to make up for the Russian oil that we are importing when we were a net exporter of oil and other types of energy? So her talking about the 9,000 unused permit gaslighting's appropriate here. That's gaslight, pretending like, oh no, we've been doing all this stuff and we're producing more oil than ever. No, we're not. Why don't we just do it at home instead of begging other people to do it so we can import it? makes no sense. Hello, Keeper Dam. It's wait, what? I'd pay money to see Peppermint Patty take a dodgeball to the face. I didn't read that, YouTube. Don't get me in trouble. Anyway, so now we're banning Russian oil imports. Fan-friggin-tastic. Wow. Anyway, and then also now here's and Stephen Colbert. Oh, he's a gem of a human being. So today he's out here saying, today the average gas price in America hit an all-time record high of over $4 a gallon. Okay, that stings, but a clean conscience is worth $1 or $2. It's important. I'm willing to pay $4 a gallon. Hell, I'll pay $15 a gallon because I drive a Tesla. Oh, you prick. Yes, and so this is appropriate. I can't afford food or gas or housing. My conscience is clean. Here's my Ukrainian flags in my profile. Fuck Stephen Colbert. Anyway. Now, here's an interesting little graph here, and this is probably interesting to all of us. Showing, now this is showing the inflation, commodity price changes versus 1 year ago, which was right after Joe Biden became the president of the United States. He is the president, the legitimate president of the United States. There are no shenanigans. Anyway, now it's interesting. If you look at these, I'm going to blow this graphic up. Oh, we'll blow up. Yeah, here's this graphic a little bit bigger here so you can see it. So this is showing how commodity prices have gone up in a year. This is March 2021, right here at the beginning of the graph. And then this is this is about March 2022, right? And this is, now I want to show you one because, so for example, here is, this is by percentage change, not by the price, but the percentage change in prices. So we've got down here copper. If you follow this squiggly line, it's all over the place down in here, and it's up 15%. Okay, and then you got you've got, what's the purple one? The purple one's cotton. This other purplish, that's a bluish, and then the purplish squiggly line, up 33.1% or 34% for all practical purposes. And we've got, so all these are on here, and you got the orange one's corn, where it went up a little bit and then it's down, and it's up 37% over a year ago today. This pink one, aluminum, 62%. This blue one here, that would be natural gas, up 69%. Holy shit. And then you got the brown one, which is that coffee? This is coffee! Coffee! I'm glad I bought a bunch of coffee recently. Coffee's up 74%. And this is commodities, not the price like at where you buy it. But anyway, and then you got this green one is unleaded gasoline, 80% change over March 2021. Now, I don't think did the Russian thing have, now the interesting thing about the green one, this is kind of down here and it's been up and down, and it actually started going up in January significantly, right? So it wasn't like the Ukraine thing started over here in January here, and it started going up, and now it went way up again because that's over the last couple week or so. But you also got heating oil. That's a problem. Of course, thankfully, the heating oil is going to wane in need shortly here, but bam, like it was going up here, is up in the high 40s, 50%. Now it's up 117%. And then you got the wheat. I should have been doing wheat futures a year ago, because boy, it was up. It was nothing until, I mean, it was up 15, 20%, but now it's up to 103%. That's all since the war. Now, a couple things. Obviously, what is this? This couldn't have gone down. That can't be right. Unleaded. Oh, no, that's coffee. Oh, coffee came down a little bit. Maybe the coffee growers are like, we'll give you guys a break. So anyway, I need one of those Joe Biden "I did that" stickers. Someone said that in the chat. I stole the idea. So anyway, that's, yeah. But notice how let's go back to that a second. Let me go back to that. Notice how, though, that stuff was happening. All this stuff was happening before the Ukraine thing, right? I mean, especially, the fuel ones, that one's going up right there starting. And this is all towards the end of stupid 19. Aluminum and crude, unleaded gasoline was going up. It was already up 40%. And now it's up 80% since, and again, this is just March of last year. This is not since January. This is probably generous. If you go back to January, whoo boy, this is even worse. So anyway, all right, let's keep going here because I need to get to the rest of these things. Now, this is the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Okay. And, right now listen to this.
Under President Biden and Vice President Harris's leadership, we're pressing the accelerator to reach a zero emissions future sooner than most people thought.
Really?
EPA's
Great.
2 announcements today are about seizing the opportunity that technology presents and driving towards a cleaner, healthier, more just future for all of our children.
Wait, more just? You're going to force people to... What? I don't know what they mean by more just.
The first of these is EPA's clean truck proposal. 72 million people are estimated to live near truck freight routes in America.
Now, when you're thinking about inflation and the EPA, there's no such thing as zero emissions, correct? In the EPA, it starts talking about a clean truck, whatever he just said. What does that entail? Are they going to buy all of Elon Musk's trucks now? Are every company going to have to have electric trucks now? And when exactly is that going to be by? And how much is that going to cost every company in America that drives a truck? You know how much of our product in the United States is moved by trucks? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. You think inflation is bad? If they start, oh boy.
And they're more likely people of color and those with lower income.
What? What did he just say?
Routes in America. And they're more likely people of color and those with lower income.
Truck routes are everywhere in America. What the fuck are you talking about? We get trucks going through my town. I'm in a suburb. They're not. Oh my God.
Those overburdened communities are directly exposed to pollution that leads to respiratory and cardiovascular problems, among other serious and costly health effects. As directed by President Biden's executive order, EPA is proposing new, ambitious standards to significantly reduce emissions from smog and soot-forming nitrogen oxides from heavy-duty gasoline and diesel engines used.
Okay, so I grew up, at least my childhood years, in the 70s, right? Our clean air standards in the United States have improved so immensely in the last 50 years that our emissions now, despite the fact that we have nearly twice as many vehicles on the road moving, is lower than it was in the 70s. And this is amazing. Truck routes only go into black communities. Duh, pay attention. Yeah, that I get it. They're tired. You're right. I've never seen a truck anywhere but in the hood, right? And in fact, I shouldn't go there. I'll go there. What the fuck? I'm black. I can say this shit. In fact, all the gangland shootings, they sometimes they get pissed off because there's always so many trucks going through the town that they can't do a proper drive-by anymore. So I don't know how the hell that could be. God, I'm terrible.
Used on the nation's roads and highways. This will ensure that the portions of the heavy-duty fleet that continue to rely on the internal
Oh my
combustion
God.
engine during the transition to cleaner alternatives will deliver much-needed protections
And how
to our most
long,
vulnerable.
first of all, how long is this transition going to take? Because Elon Musk's trucks, which look pretty cool, actually, they look like they could do some stuff. First of all, you got to have, here's the other problem with trucks too. They got to have range like a motherfucker. Okay. I just think of the trucks that we use at UPS. We got trucks that do routes every day going from X to, X to Y daily, right? Or and sometimes these truckers run a 12-hour routes, even though they're not supposed to, like not the UPS trucks, but these truckers have, they got to be able to drive for 8 hours sometimes. And you got to have the battery capacity to run 8 hours. Think about how many batteries need to be made to convert the entire, just in the United States alone, the entire fleet of vehicles to something like that. Think of the cost. Think of how much natural resources you need. Think about how much, whatever. Is it lithium? I don't know what they use for those damn batteries. We're talking about an environmental disaster. And also, what are you gonna do with all the old trucks? Are they gonna make you retrofit your truck to be electric? What are they gonna do with all the old trucks? These people are nuts. I'm sorry. Not that if companies want to gradually go through this, I'm curious of what kind of time frame that these idiots are looking at. By the way, good morning to Would You Hello Talker.
Communities.
Yeah, okay. You oh my God. It's you crazy people. All right, what else did I have here? There's a couple other things. Now here's the other thing. Oh, this one. If you are, this is going to be interesting how the Biden administration, I'm waiting to hear this. I know I haven't finished a sentence yet. This came across my Twitter feed today. President Biden to sign crypto executive order this week as industry faces sanction pressure. President Biden, Joe Biden, to sign an executive order that will outline the U.S. government's strategy for cryptocurrencies as the industry faces sanctions the industry faces sanction pressure, sources say. Keebler, how you doing? Nice to see you. The only way I can see doing the truck would be to make a portion of the trailer the battery. And when the truck is low, the trucker dumps it off and picks up a charged one at a station. Yeah, but then you got to take the entire cargo too, right? Oh, God. Now, I don't know what this is going to be about. I'm very curious about this one. Here's let's see, Bloomberg has a thread on it, so let's go through this. He said to sign an executive order that this week will outline the U.S. government's strategy on cryptocurrencies. The executive order will direct federal agencies to examine potential regulatory changes, as well as the national security and economic impact of digital assets, sources said. Now, what's funny is currently, I don't know how they can even control that, but they're going to try. Do you really want the government taking over your cryptocurrencies? Isn't that why you get away? That's why you go to cryptocurrencies, to get away from the government control. Hello, T-Ball. What's up? The administration's crypto approach attracted fresh attention as Washington and its allies levied sanctions on Russia, prompting concerns that firms and individuals there could use crypto to evade the restrictions. Yeah. The White House declined to comment. Biden's team is under pressure to play more of a coordinating role as industry executives express what they say is a lack of clarity on U.S. rules. So gird your loins for that one. Let's see. I'm going to get to these other two right now. The rest of this right now. I have one more, and I want to share an email with you because it was something I was thinking about a while ago. This is the last one I'm going to do today. Oh, this jackass. This is completely off topic. But he's, this guy named Daniel Ohlfelter. says, today I'm announcing, here, hold on, pause. Today I'm announcing my candidacy for Attorney General of Florida. Ron DeSantis and his sidekicks in Tallahassee have been warned. So this guy, Dan Oldfelter, who wants to run for Attorney General, this is this lawyer guy. Let's see if you remember this guy. Maybe you'll see it here.
Rachel and her team have been covering the despicable.
You've probably heard the term.
Hang on. I need to can the music, so I'll just read I'll read the text myself on this one. You've probably heard the term armchair activist.
You know, someone who binges cable news.
Someone who binges cable news and retweets the latest hot takes and doesn't do much else. Well, that's not really me. This is this jackass. Remember this guy at the beginning or during the pandemic, who went out in Florida walking along the beach wearing a what's that guy called? The guy with the scythe, the Grim Reaper outfit. This is this guy. Yes, that's me. Yes, the guy in the costume. Florida residents got quite the thing when they visited beaches. This is a reporter saying, okay, let me explain where to begin. My name is Daniel Oldfelder, and I'm just your average attorney and family man. I was born here in the Sunshine State. The Oldfelders fought hard to get into this country. The Nazis tore my family apart. He used Nazi flags in his... Hey! I heard you're not supposed to use Nazi imagery at all. He's got swastikas in his ad. I don't think we should stand by anybody who's showing swastikas. Anyway, my great-grandparents were killed in the concentration camps. Growing up, my parents would never let me forget. They immersed us in social justice and introduced us to politicians who actually stood up for what was right. To politicians who actually, what do you say? Politicians who what? Who actually stood up for what was right. So I guess my activism is kind of in my blood. I went to Stanford, then to Florida for law school, settled down, got married, had a couple kids, and they're a great age. They don't even get very embarrassed by me yet. Oh, really? I bet if any knew it was you in that costume, they were probably embarrassed. Dad, would you just stay home? You look like an idiot. And like most dads, I want what's best for them and their friends and neighbors. So when the Confederate flags were coming down at the courthouses around the country, but ours stayed up, I organized to take it down. Well, good for you. And when bureaucrats voted to privatize our coastline, I marched to the nearest beach and planted myself until the cops showed up. Mr. Oldfelder, I believe we've had the pleasure, that's the officer saying, of talking yesterday. We did. Yeah, good to see you. And yes, when I was watching thousands of our neighbors dying from this deadly pandemic, I put on a costume and encouraged people to stay home. Hey, you know what? You know what, sir? The best place anyone could have been during the pandemic is outdoors in the sun, and you're an idiot. Keep living. Because when people are being oppressed or left out or made to feel like their lives don't matter, how are they being oppressed if they're going to the beach? Have you ever felt oppressed at the beach? Anybody? Has anybody ever felt oppressed at the beach? Come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's not in my DNA to let it slide. There's a lot of bullying going on right now. Yeah, by Democrats. House of Representatives. Notice when he uses this bullshit. Remember this? These idiots show up in Florida. About 12 of them. He's going to go out and fight these 12 idiots. Yeah, wait, let's count how many are even in the picture. Because he's trying to get every single one of them in the picture to make it look like there's a lot of them. Okay, so I got one. Oops, wait, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're oppressing you. Oh, and he finds someone having a fight out by a car. I don't know what that is. And then he says, when these are the faces of Florida's leaders. Oh, it's anti-DeSantis. oh, I might not be a politician, but I'm one tough lawyer. You're one big idiot. And that's why I'm running for Attorney General of Florida. Florida's deserved an Attorney General who wants to actually do the job of the Attorney General, not to be the governor's personal attorney. I guess I need to know Florida politics better. Not to be someone who will advocate for our voting rights. Really, who's not allowed to vote in Florida? I'm curious who's not allowed to vote in Florida. Consumer rights, fundamental human rights. Again, I'm not sure. Oh, I see. They're saying Black Lives Matter. They want to be able to clog the streets with people, I guess. Except for the fundamental human rights to be able to move around, instead of someone who's there to push a harmful political agenda just to advance her own political career. I'm curious what her harmful political agenda is. I'm not familiar with Florida politics, but I'm pretty sure it's not someone walking around in a Grim Reaper costume. Let's see. What else? We've all been through a lot the past few years, but there's too much at stake to stay on the sidelines now. And I'm just getting started. Well, hopefully you're just getting finished too, because you're an idiot. All right. Anyway, so Paul Oldefelter for Attorney General. So that. All right. Now, the last I'm going to finish with, because I kind of mentioned this the other day about, how it's really weird how particularly social media companies have such a wild, just incredible amount of power. And maybe just a little too much power as far as I'm concerned. I think that, by the way, thanks Keyverdam for tweeting out the show. I appreciate it. And I got an email from Gab, because I'm on Gab. I don't participate in Gab that much. I don't even follow that many people, but I use it. Anyone who wants to get on an alternative platform that, where you can say what the fuck you want, Gab is certainly it. And they've kind of built their own, they built their own complete system ground up so they can avoid fighting with the payment processors and all that bullshit, right? Well, I got an email from them, and it's interesting if you apply it to more than just what they're doing in Russia. And so I want to go through this, and then I'm going to just read it, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it tomorrow because I'm out of time. But here's the email. Let me move it so you can see it, and I'll just go through it because it makes some good points. Deplatforming a nation state. The entire nation state of Russia is getting the Gab treatment by big tech and the globalist regimes. Now, if you remember, they tried to destroy Gab, right? And so by that I mean they are being systematically purged from the internet, all within the span of about a week. This is the internet companies doing this. Google is blocking their apps. Apple is blocking their apps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Telegram have banned or limited access to their accounts. Now remember, this is just Russia. This is the Russian people too, not just the government, the Russian people, for being Russian and having idiot Putin going and attacking another country. Twitter has started fact-checking and reducing the reach of their links. YouTube has demonetized their videos. Reddit has quarantined the R Russia community. Namecheap, a domain registrar, has cut off all Russian customers. American right-wing dissidents are no stranger to any of these things. All these tools of war have been used against us as American citizens for 6 years now. In Gab's case, we've been banned from both app stores, domain registers, and big tech platforms for years. Now these same tools and tactics of war that have been developed and used against us as dissidents are being used against all of Russia. Now, I have zero love for Russia whatsoever. But this is a country. And the people of that country are going to have limited access to the outside world too. Remember, there's people, I'm sure there's people out there who are supporting the people who are protesting the war in Russia. Those people also lose access. Just telling you. And they're using this against a country, so they can use this shit against you. Other nation states should be paying attention to this. Are you going to continue to allow your citizens to be controlled entirely by a handful of companies in Silicon Valley? Or is now perhaps the time to start building your own sovereign technology and infrastructure? Unlike our spineless Republican leaders in America who had total and complete control over government from 2016 to 2018 and did absolutely nothing to stop big tech tyranny, Russia is fighting back. Russia has shut down Facebook and Twitter completely. Now, that again, they're doing it to their own people. I don't like that either, but that's what they can do in that country. But there's consequences. Anyway, and this is honestly, now he says this is honestly a smart play. Why give the globalist regime insight into what your citizens are talking about? Data isn't just the new oil. Data in a time of war is priceless, especially the data of your own people. Yesterday, Gab engineers discovered a massive anti-Russian botnet on our platform, which we quickly banned. There were hundreds of newly created accounts, all sharing the same dozen or so IP addresses. They were reposting, commenting, and liking anti-Russian fake news to the Gab Explore page. Our bot detection systems caught them quickly and removed them from the platform. This type of activity is eerily similar to CENTCOM's Operation Earnest Voice. We have no proof who it was beyond this activity. All we know is what their agenda was, promoting anti-Putin and anti-Russian propaganda. Gab is not a platform for state-backed PSYOP campaigns. We're not going to allow this coordinated inauthentic activity to take place in our community, not from foreign state actors and not from our own government. We aren't going to ban a foreign news outlet or Russian citizens from Gab for no reason. RT News has been on Gab for over a year now and has never once come close to violating our terms of service. Gab is now the one place on the internet where you can find RT News, and you can do so by clicking that link. Anyway, if you haven't been on Gab for a while now, it's a good time to come back and check out everything, blah, blah, blah. So he's pushing Gab. But the point I wanted to make, and it happened when Donald Trump was banned from platforms while he was still the president of the United States. And particularly in this country, our tech platforms maybe, have a little too much power. And do they have to follow the whims of our government right now? Why would they? They can kind of do whatever they want. And I think that's a problem. And I wish that some of our leaders would realize it. And that is the end of the show for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I am here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central for people like me in Central Time. Please, before you go, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, share the stream with people you know and love, and if you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section so I know you were here. Also, thank you for our sponsors today, Tall Person and Sydney Rochelle, the superstar donor of the day. Also, thank for people who've supported me monetarily in the past. Thank you for those of you who come and join us in the chat every day. It is delightful to have you as people who come here on a regular basis and kind of get to know you through your writings and so on and so forth. And thank you. Thank you. And even if you're just watching it in the background, lurking or whatever, anyone who joins the party is greatly appreciated and welcome back again to my house, my little house here on the internet. So that's it for today, people. I gotta go. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.